welcome back to the beginning of another week. We are in week 12 and it is spring officially. Yesterday was spring equinox, so we are officially in spring, and that's exciting because it means that I get to start, well, I get to keep doing things with the garden, but it means that we finally have like a little bit more heat, a little bit more sunshine, so that's all great. We actually just got back from a trip to Hendaye, which is right at the border between France and Spain. So that was pretty nice. And things that have been going on this week, I had a bunch of things planned, which was mainly just finishing up prepping the beds for the garden, getting some more things planted. I don't know, some other stuff. So I will go ahead and take you around and show you what happened. Okay, so out in the garden, we've been harvesting asparagus, which is always fun. So I definitely have like more little fronds, but we're kind of harvesting as we want them, and that's the first asparagus of the season, which is always nice. Haven't been harvesting too much of a lettuce because honestly we just don't eat leaves very often. What else is happening? Nothing much. I need to get out and prune off like all the rusty bits of my garlic. I did get, like, that bed is now prepped and ready to go. This bed is also basically prepped and ready to go, except for I have some remaining leeks up in this area. And then over there, it's prepped and ready to go. So the plan is that this bed will eventually have the stuff down there cleared out as well. And this is going to be like my ratatouille bed. So it's going to have the tomatoes, the aubergines, the peppers, and things of that nature. My shallots are going to stay there until like June. But over there, we're going to put like legumes, the peas and stuff like that. This area is all going to be brassicas. So like, I don't know, the kales and things like that. Whatever brassicas I'm planting for the spring will go there. The garlic stays here until until June. And then I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with all of these onions, but ultimately in here, I'm going to plant more peas. So I may end up planting my peas just in around the onions, but honestly, I don't know. I did manage to dig out all of the rocks that were in here, but that's it. I haven't done the other two sides. I'm going to leave that for now just because I have too many other things that I'm interested in doing. You can see the neighbor farmer actually came out really late Friday night and mowed down the fava beans. So there are some fava beans that are left. So if they happen to mature before he comes out and like tills them all in, I might go grab some beans, but we'll see. I did plant some various like lettuce seeds and things here, so I'll kind of see what pops up. Haven't done much with the rest of these beds. I need to pull these carrots out and then figure out what I'm going to do with those. But let's take you over to somewhere else. I'll take you down here and show off the flower area, only because things are starting to come in. So these are the canna lilies that are coming back. The dahlias here haven't really shown signs of life yet, but that is a peony that's coming back. This is actually a dahlia, pretty sure. Interestingly, that's an amaryllis, which I found out shouldn't survive outside, but it's growing a little thing, so we'll see what happens. It doesn't flower for me, but it also hasn't died. These are the really pretty summer breeze strawberries. So they're more ornamental than anything, but they make these really pretty like rosette flowers, which I like a lot. And then up here, there are a few signs of life of 2 of these, well, more than signs of life. This one is definitely getting going. But that's all exciting. I have decided to put this section on hold, so I went ahead and just covered it back up with the weed cloth, and I went ahead and like weeded along the edge here. I left those, which are these things here. I'm not exactly sure what they are. They're like some sort of wild, like geranium or something. They have little flowers eventually, but they actually smell smoky. They smell really good to me. It's probably a love-hate or a love-tolerate smell, but I think they smell great. So I love leaving them because I like brushing against them. But my biggest thing for this week has been up here. I have planters. They're set up. They're even kind of filled with things. And these hexagons are for potatoes. So I already have my early ones in here. And I think I may have mentioned that basically I put down horse manure, rotted horse manure, and then some compost. And the seed potatoes have been planted in there. There's 13. And then there's 13 over there of different varieties. And then I made these beds, which last year I didn't have. They're just like super aerated because I actually have parsnips. I left the thing here. Yeah, so there's parsnips in this one, and I'm pretty sure that one has like something else. I was gonna say carrots, but it doesn't. It has these like funky things. What are these? Oh, salsify. So, which is another root type vegetable. And I've never grown it, so we'll see what happens. But potatoes, and then I'm actually planning on getting 2 more. If I back up, I'm going to get 2 more of these hexagons and bring them out because I have more potatoes for my main crops that I want to put here. For the time being, I've just placed that there mainly for looks because I actually have an opening. It's hardly ever used, but in here somewhere, here, you can see I have these like chains, and that's because I didn't secure the fence there. With the idea that if I ever, well, with the idea that when I need to get bigger things in there to like clear out their muck, I can actually just open up the fence here and then be able to come in and out directly. So my plan is that this is going to stay open, but it looks like there's actually room for maybe 1 more grow bag on that side and 1 more grow bag on this side. And then I'll probably like put a bench or something that's easily movable, but just doesn't leave a big gap there. So all of that is happening. And then I wanted to show you over here. This driveway, I've basically been re-rocking by hand by pulling out rocks that are in the garden or pulling out rocks that are elsewhere on the property. So for example, this is my pile of well-rotted horse manure. And I've been starting to dig it out here, but there's tons of rocks. So basically, as I'm digging out the horse manure, I'm also mining rocks, and then all of the rocks that are being collected end up going up into this driveway because eventually this whole space here will have rocks. And then I'll just keep refilling all the rocks here because ultimately all of the big trucks that come to deliver like the mulch and the compost in bulk end up coming on this driveway. And at least in the winter when it's more wet, we like having the rocks here so that they can still access it without getting stuck. Francis and I are kind of debating replacing the fence up there, but that is really neither here nor there for the time being. And yeah, I think that is about it for today. The big accomplishment for sure was definitely planting the potatoes, getting those ready. And things to come are actually, squirrel, before I tell you things to come, I forgot to show off my chicken waterer. So I decided to forego the wine barrel. It ended up coming, like, it was just too bulky for this space. So I got this little armoire, and it's quite nice. I can store little things in there. I have it lifted up so that hopefully it'll last longer. And now I can just fill up this thing and it goes in and the chickens can drink out of there. So I know that they've been experimenting with it. I still have their little tub over there, which eventually I will get rid of to kind of force them to use this waterer. But I just kind of want to make sure that there's a transition where they have access to both. So that is it for this week. Things to come, I have no idea. I know that there are legumes that I want to plant. Like I want to get my snap peas in over here on little like trellises. I'd like to get the little peas, the petit pois, planted over near the onions if I figure out what I'm going to do there. It's still way too early to plant out any of the tomatoes, aubergines, and peppers. It's way too cold still. So that bed is just going to kind of hang out. I might actually cover it. I might get some of my weed block and just cover it so it's not exposed. And this bed, I can technically start planting because it's all going to have brassicas, and brassicas don't mind the cold weather so much. So maybe this week I'll get some of those things done. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of cleanup. I may work some more on the paths. This is kind of like my little garbage thing that needs to be emptied because I'm clearing out a bunch of stuff. And eventually I actually plan to redo the irrigation as well. So I had been using these soaker hose things, which are great, and I'm going to repurpose those somewhere else in the garden. But out here, what I've decided to do is that each of these long beds is actually going to be broken up into little sections. So that's where the hoops are. Like each hoop kind of represents a bed. So like my tomatoes are going to be mainly in this bed, and then it's going to go to like, I don't remember what I said, aubergines and peppers and whatever. But like basically each little like 1 meter by 1.5 meter section, I'm considering one bed, and I'm hoping to plant them with the same thing. So I tried to start doing that here. So like I have the 3 beds that all have shallots, or over here I haven't figured out whether my beds are going to start from that side or whether they're going to start from this side, because ultimately I still have a little bit of space beyond the 5 meters that I'm using to put beds in. So but that's the idea. The idea is that each of these little sections is what I consider a bed, and so they will each have one crop, and I just think that that will be easier for me to maintain long term. And the irrigation that I'm planning to put is basically going to be like a main header irrigation, and then have like things coming out for each section that I can control which ones are getting watered and stuff like that. So it'll make a lot more sense when I actually start doing it and have pictures. But until then, I will leave you with the sunset, because once the sun goes down, it starts getting awfully cold. And yeah, that's it for this week. I hope you had a good one, and I will see you next week. Bye.